Guys, what's going on? Welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath, and I am joined by my spinner rack bro and yours, the Comic Book Savant, for an open discussion about Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, Star Wars, that Jeff Goldblum show. I don't know. James, how are you, man? Welcome.
I'm good. I know it's been a while since we last did an episode. Hey everyone, love you guys. Thank you so much for your support for the videos we do here. Also heading to my channel and checking my stuff out. You guys have came in droves and been super supportive. Thank you guys. And now we're back on schedule with doing content for you guys over here.
Yeah, people sent you like edible arrangements and flowers and
Yes, I'm sexy now. I'm sexy. You
uh-huh.
big time. You know, I'm noticeable now. They know me now.
Uh-huh. So in the last it's been months now. It's been several months since we talked.
Yeah.
Disney Plus is now a thing, or as Jimmy Fallon calls it, Disney Plus. I like calling it. It sounds French. Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It has dropped. We've all had time to dig into it and to see what's there and what's not there. So I don't know. I'm just kind of interested in having. We were both talking before this. We're like, we have no notes. We have no outlines. We're just gonna throw it against the wall and see what sticks. So Disney Plus, $6.99 a month, or even less if you go.
With so many deals, they were making sure people were going to get this service. It's like you want it for 3 years. I did the 3-year deal. I know they got the $12.99 monthly bundle where you get Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and the basic Hulu package.
Yep.
You know, and they keep coming up with deals. They're probably going to have another deal before Christmas comes out, I would think, because they're really pushing it hard.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the service? Have you had time to really play around with it and explore?
Yeah, because I like you are very much a Disney household between me and my wife, and we're a part of the Disney movie club, and we pretty much buy all the movies. So for some people, they might be like, well, if you have the movies, it's kind of redundant. But we just love Disney and the back catalog of content that we don't have the movies. All the current stuff like the Marvel, the Pixar, the Disney original movies. We have all those pretty much digitally because I'm more digital than physical media. But still that back catalog is in the original shows like Mandalorian and the Marvel shows that's going to be coming down the pike, the additional Star Wars shows that being announced. It's like all of it, I was like all in. As soon as they announced, I'm like, I knew I was getting it. So I've been on it quite a bit. It's funny now. I keep a window up in my browser that's on Disney Plus, and I just when I feel like watching something, I just start watching stuff. Like even if I'm playing like video games now, I'll have it up on the monitor and like I'm going through the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I love that cartoon.
That's a good show.
And I've gone back and I've been watching it. I finished season 1. I'm on season 2. So like while I'm playing games and stuff, I have it on in the background and I'm watching episodes, knocking out the second season.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it too, and we've talked about it, here on the channel before, and like Bree and I both were like, well, we're excited about it, we're gonna get it, but I am always like, I don't know what's the word, not skeptical, but cautious about Disney, because I'm like, Disney wants my money. If I don't put my hand on my wallet, like Mickey's hands, like sneaking back, I'm like, hey, they are so clever in how they do this, and I don't think it's going to be $6.99 forever. I think, I don't know, maybe after this, probably not even these 3 years. But anyway, my whole thing is I was like, well, I want to get it. We do have the movies. We have like all the movies with the exception of I think there's a few that haven't come to Blu-ray yet. There's like Melody Time, Make Mine Music, The Black Cauldron. For some reason, I don't understand why they're like suppressing The Black Cauldron, but maybe it's rights, I don't know. But we were talking about it. It was like, well, there's these originals, and I don't think I've talked about it publicly, but I know my Patreon community knows that I was really wrestling with it at launch because I was like knee deep in a bunch of stuff that I was trying to review that was not Disney related, and I was like, if I had it right now, I want to watch The Mandalorian, but if I had it right now, I don't even know when I'll get to watch The Mandalorian, because I got to finish this by this date and this by this date. And like I think by the second episode of The Mandalorian, after that had aired, I was like, okay, I got to do it. Like everybody, it's not even a spoiler, because there are children in like villages that have 8 people. They're like Baby Yoda. Like everybody knows about Baby Yoda now. So I was like, I gotta know. Like Baby Yoda got spoiled for me. So I was like, I gotta go check out Disney Plus. And so it is amazing how much stuff is on there. I had a test list. I was like, okay, let's see if they have these movies, and I searched for The Castaway Cowboy with James Garner from the 1970s. I searched for Smart House, which was a Disney Channel original movie from the 90s. And there was one more. I'm trying to remember what the other movie was. I can't remember what it. Oh, Shipwrecked. I don't know if you remember when we were kids. There was this movie called Shipwrecked that came out. Gabriel Byrne in it. It's like a 17th century, 1700s, basically a castaway movie, and all of them were on there. And I was like, oh man, they're all here. And then you fall down that rabbit hole. It's like, well, what is this here? And there's so much stuff that's there. Stuff that I didn't. Honestly, there's things on this service I didn't even know existed. I was like, what about you?
You're hardcore like that. I mean, like for me, I found a YouTube channel called What's on Disney Plus. So they like chronicle like legit, and they've been around for like soon as it was announced. Like I guess they started this YouTube channel, so they track all the news, all the announcements. They follow everything Disney. So they were before the service launched. Then Disney they did it on Instagram and they did it on Twitter, where they like literally screenshotted every single thing, that piece of content that was going to be on there, and it was like they just flooded Instagram and Twitter for like 6 hours straight one day. Mm-hmm. So they had a rundown. So I was like, for me and you even talked about this. I was about to buy Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes because I didn't think it was going to be on the service because of rights, because they ended the show because Disney bought Marvel, and they ended all the cartoons that was out at the time. So like, is it going to be on the service? And I knew it was on when they did the pre-launch for it over in the Netherlands. It was on there, but they said not everything might come over. So when they made that announcement for what was going to be on the American launch, it was on there. So I was like, oh, that just saved me $50 because I was going to buy it digitally on iTunes. Season 1 and 2 are $25 a piece. So I was legit saving up my money to buy it. So I'm like, oh, I really don't necessarily have to buy it because now it's going to be on there. All the older stuff, like, even though we own them, like Freaky Friday, The Parent Trap, because my wife is very similar to you. Like, y'all are hardcore, like all the old school stuff.
Yeah.
Dead Knobs and Broomsticks, and like she's on it every day. Like, I watch Avengers when I get free time. As soon as The Mandalorian drops Friday morning, that's my Friday morning ritual now. Mandalorian, like breakfast and Mandalorian, like every Friday morning. I'm just into it. Those are the only like the other original shows. The Jeff Goldblum show I haven't really checked out. We've
watched all of those. We're up to date on the Goldblum show.
But I do want to watch it. There's other stuff that I do want to watch. I have stuff added to my watch list, so I love that functionality. Me being born in the 70s, being a kid of the 80s, like Black Cauldron's on my watch list. I want to the Fox Robin Hood, another movie I was actually getting ready to buy until I found out it was on there. That was one of the first things I actually searched for when I opened up the app when it launched. Was that movie. So I have a nice laundry list of more old school stuff from my childhood that maybe I have not seen since my childhood. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have queued up to watch, but I'm OCD, so like I started watching Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I have to watch it all the way through. Then I'll go to the next show. I like that when I go watching stuff. I do want to watch the '90s X-Men and '90s Spider-Man cartoons. Yes. I want to watch those. So
I wanted to talk about those.
Yeah, I probably will tackle that kind of stuff because I love those animated things, and like the movies. Like most of the movies, I own. Like I said, anything current I own. So it's more like the old school stuff that's the attraction, and the new original shows that I want to check out. And there's some Pixar movies that I haven't watched, like Inside Out. Though I own it, I've never watched it. Finding Dory, like this little off stuff that I can now, with it being on Disney Plus, even though I can just go on my Apple TV and launch it. It's just, you got the app, why not? Just boop, I can watch it.
Yeah, just throw it on.
And the new whole thing too about that I heard people talk about is like they have deleted scenes from Avengers Endgame that's not on the Blu-ray, that are separate new scenes that are just on Disney Plus. Oh. And the whole Star Wars rework of they changed the whole who shot first thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
man, We gotta talk about that too. What?
Yeah.
They got the 4K versions up there. They're in 4K on the streaming service, but they've added another edit to the Greedo scene in the first Star Wars movie. Like what? Now I heard, I don't know if, I don't think it's official, but I heard that was a George Lucas change that was held, like he had already changed it again before the purchase. I'm like, what? Why? Well, why can't we just? I'm wondering if at any point we're ever going to get these original movies.
That's a good question. Well, because didn't Fox have like the rights to the original stuff?
Yeah.
Well, since so probably now, so probably at some point because they want the money, so they're probably gonna, hey, here's the super deluxe box set, and now it's on Disney Plus, now it's here, now it's everywhere. So you know what's coming now that they got the rights to it. They probably want to clean them up a little bit more, remaster.
I don't know. I hope so. I'd be in for it. And
Me too.
People are going to say, well, you can get those movies. Yes, I know, and I have them. I have available copies of the original trilogy in HD. I have those. But I would like an official release, and I would like something like that on the service so that, we have choices. Because I don't think kids care. I think when kids watch Star Wars, they don't care. But our generation cares. We want to see them. They're so different now than they were when we watched them when we were younger. They've changed the color timing on all these. They have different color schemes that they never had originally. Mm-hmm. It's just really interesting that you start to look at the changes, and there has been so many. So they're almost, I don't want to overstate, but they are getting close to being unrecognizable to the movies that we grew up with. Taking out entire pieces of music, putting in other pieces of music. So, I don't know. We're talking about Star Wars. What do you think about The Mandalorian?
I'm enjoying it because I feel like it's different, and that's what I've been wanting. I have enjoyed the current trilogy, and I still don't know how I feel about The Last Jedi. Like I said, I saw it twice in the theaters. I think I've watched it twice since it came out on home video. I watched it like the day I got it. I watched it, and I always come up with, man, I don't know how I feel. Like it's the most divisive Star Wars movie for me out of all of the films. Where no matter how many times I've watched it, I've let it breathe, and it's always, man, it's really cool stuff in it that I really like, and there's stuff about it I really don't like, and then there's this other stuff that I'm indifferent to. And as a whole, every time I finish watching a movie, I think it's going to change my thoughts of it, and I always come up, it's like middle for me. It's just like I don't hate it, I don't love it, it's just meh. So I like that stuff, but I just love the different vibe, the whole space western samurai vibe of it all. It's just it's fun, it's refreshing. Is the thing that always, when I watch it, that just comes to mind. It's refreshing. It's kind of what I wanted from Star Wars. And like people bag on Solo, and I don't think it was necessarily the Solo movie I wanted, but I enjoyed it and it was fun, and it didn't take itself too seriously. And I loved it for what it is. When I reflect back on it, out of all the Disney made Star Wars movies, it's kind of like Rogue One is my favorite. Then I'm Solo because it was just fun. Then it's the trilogy movies, and then like The Mandalorian is like sandwiched between the trilogy. I guess Rogue One, Solo, and it's there with Solo because it's just fun and it's different enough and it's refreshing enough. Then it's because with those new trilogy movies, they have parts where they feel samey to like the original trilogy at parts to me. So it's not as fresh as ideas as I would want. Though I love the characters, kind of how they progress the story all over the place. It's like it's not exactly what I was expecting from what the next trilogy would have been in my head as a fan. Where I get that from something like The Mandalorian. Like they're like, yeah, we're just gonna have fun with it, and it's being made by fans. You could tell the love in it. You feel that love in it. So like that's what I want as a Star Wars fan. They're being made by Star Wars fans as well. So you feel that love and that attention to details, all the little Easter eggs in every episode, things like that. I
think there are more familiar aliens in the first episode of The Mandalorian than we've gotten in any, like, the sequel movies combined. Like that first episode, there's like the Rhodians. There's so many. A Garindan. We haven't seen the guy so in the episode 4. Garandin was like the spy. He's like, he's got like the long elephant kind of sound.
Right.
We haven't seen him since episode 4, I think. I think he might have shown up in one of the Clone Wars episodes or something like that. But there's aliens in it. We haven't seen him forever. You're right. It does feel like it's done by fans. Well, they are fans because Dave Filoni, I say this a lot. I probably bang this drum too much, but Dave Filoni worked alongside George Lucas creating the Clone Wars for like 6 years. Yep. And George Lucas would tell him, I'm teaching you how to make Star Wars. He is the only person that has worked with George Lucas for, a long period of time as like
on a creative level.
On a creative level, yeah, as a collaborator, not as like, because I think we all know George Lucas shadow directed Return of the Jedi and some of Empire Strikes Back too. I think he's even said like he made the sets maybe not so fun for those directors because he was telling them what to do. But this is more of a collaborative, creative thing that he and Dave Filoni had, and I think Filoni is a super fan, and you can see that in everything he's done. Clone Wars, Rebels, it feels like a fan, and he's bringing that to The Mandalorian. And then Jon Favreau is, of course, also a fan. And what I haven't heard anybody talk about this really, and I wanted to bring this up. If it has been talked about, I'm sorry. But Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau collaborated on Clone Wars for a Mandalorian arc. Jon Favreau was the voice of Pre Vizsla in the Mandalorian storyline that ran through I think it was season 5 of the Clone Wars. And so both Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau worked on a Mandalorian storyline with George Lucas for Star Wars, and now they're running a Mandalorian TV show. Like, come on, that is as good as it gets. That is a best case scenario. Exactly. And just the love that it has for the universe, and it's fun, and it has that. There's a quality that's in the Mandalorian that is not in the sequel trilogy, and I don't know exactly what it is. It's in Solo at parts. It's like that serial kind of a quality, like that adventure movie where like that Indiana Jones kind of a thing. And that's really, it's hard to define or hard to explain, but it is that like, it's like a serial, like a cliffhanger kind of a thing where it's like, okay, so in the second episode of The Mandalorian, where they have to like the Mandalorian gets his spaceship stripped down by the Jawas, and then he has to like he climbs up the side of the Jawa sandcrawler. Like that whole thing feels like a serial. It feels like something out of like George Lucas based. He was pulling from Flash Gordon, and he was pulling from all these things. That feels like it. It's got that feel that we grew up with in the 80s with, all that stuff in the 80s. Willow had it, and Indiana Jones, I'll say it again. But I don't know. I love it. And it reminds me of not even original Star Wars, but that first movie. That, like you said, it's got that Western meets samurai. Like there's a little bit of... It's very Western. It's mostly Western. And it has the space opera in it, and it's got the samurai code stuff in it. It's just very unique, and I don't know how... I just missed it. And when I see it, I'm like, oh, there it is! There it is. It's been so long since I've had...
It's home. It feels like Star Wars home. It does.
In a way that maybe the newer movies haven't felt like that.
Yeah, no,
they don't. They're fun. They can be fun, and they can be fine, but they haven't had that particular feeling that I connect with. It sounds like you do, too.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I equate the whole vibe when it comes to Marvel and even Star Wars is that you run into certain things with certain movies in both the properties since Disney owned them that I like the characters. I like the new characters they introduced. I don't necessarily like the stories because to me Force Awakens is a copy of Star Wars. And you know what I mean? And I don't know what to classify The Last Jedi as. It's like a montage of different ideals, some which are cool, some which are weird, some which are just he just threw it up against the wall because he just wanted to do it, and you know what I mean. And I'm interested to see what pans out in the last movie, but it has that feel where I like the characters, but like the first, I equate it to the first Guardians movie. I loved all the characters immediately. Didn't necessarily love that first movie. I loved the second movie, but I attached to it for a lot of personal reasons. So I love that movie, and it made me love the characters and be that more invested in the characters even more.
Yeah.
Like I said, my favorite character, I think, in all of the Marvel Universe is Rocket Raccoon. I'm like, that is a miracle that you made me love a CGI raccoon as much as I do. You know what I mean? It's like one of my favorite scenes of all of the MCU is in part 2, and he sets up the booby traps and he's fighting like the Ravagers in like the in the forest, and he just has them popping up in the air. He's just having a good. That's like my favorite scene of all of the MCU. I think I can watch that all day long. I can just put that on repeat, just watch him just giggling, and it's just like his personality. Bradley Cooper, like just with the voice of it. I love it. You know, it's just, and you don't get that feel. Like I haven't had those moments yet, so it makes me think about going into the future of Star Wars. I kind of want to see these characters detached from the Skywalker saga or legacy, and develop them in their own stories. I want to see more of Rey, but I know she really doesn't want anything to do with Star Wars after this movie for a while. She said she kind of wants to go do other stuff, but maybe, you know, John Boyega, because he's such a huge Star Wars fan, maybe they can do a movie fleshing out his character more, or maybe even a Disney Plus 6 to 8 episode, like, you know, maybe a season or two, like just to flesh it out for maybe another movie down the road. Maybe
FN2187, the series.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think the comics have done good with supplemental material like that, fleshing out these characters in this newer trilogy more so than the movies do. They've done a better job, kind of like with the prequels. We all agree that the Clone Wars made the prequel trilogy so much better, because it gave those characters such a deeper reference. If you watch the prequels, you know, you're like, oh, Anakin's a whiny crybaby. And then you watch the Clone Wars.
I hate sand. It gets everywhere. It's rough and coarse. But irritating.
You see so many things in the Clone Wars over that development, and they even did a really good Marvel Star Wars comic, Obi-Wan and Anakin, where they delve into that, even though it's only in a couple of issues. It's like only 5 issues, I think, 5 or 6 issues, where they go on a mission together, but they show Palpatine's manipulation of him and how the other Jedis treated him, bullied him essentially, because how they let him in, and it was against rules from how they came in, and he was older, and he did excel with certain techniques, and he embraced it because of the influence of Qui-Gon on him, and he wanted to be the best, so he dove heavily in it, and he was excelling, and they were jealous. You know, they were very jealous of him, and he was bullied a lot, and how Palpatine would go and visit him a lot, and he saw it, and he knew, like, I could easily get my claws into him. And that's that aspect that they never shown before. And it's Charles Soule did a great job in that comic setting that up, of where, no wonder why in the movies he was so adverse to the Jedi and paying attention to him, because they treated him like crap. Essentially, you know, when his training, they isolated him. They wouldn't do exercises with him. They were just very standoffish and did not want anything to do with him. You know, they treated him so much like an outcast, which pushed, you know, so then you start understanding more so his perspective on why he could turn. You know, if someone treated you like that, you would be so like, yeah, I'm one of them too. We're cool. Like, no. I like Obi-Wan, I like Qui-Gon, and that's about it. The rest of y'all, I don't really care too much for, because you don't care for me. You know, they never really gave him a chance, and they were always, even, you know, Mace was like, I don't really trust him. Like, he was always on that tip of, you know, I don't like him like that. You know what I mean? And so it's like they played that up more. So it's like, yeah, I can kind of see where he would have turned. You know, so so many different aspects of that, where that supplemental material did a better job fleshing out those characters in the movies, but so many people don't read the books, or, you know, some people might not even watch like The Mandalorian or maybe some of the other future shows. I hope they do, because if you're a fan, it adds so much to it. You know, I know for me, Rogue One resonates because I read the book. Listened to the audiobook of Catalyst, where that movie came out. So it was so much that wasn't touched on in the in that book that sets that movie up so perfectly. So if you have that book and then you watch that movie, it's so much deeper of an experience. You know, for me that I guess that's why it resonates so much, because I know all the characters, all the behind the scenes stuff. You know, you have it so much more, so it makes you attached to those characters so much better. You know.
Yeah, that book really sets the stage for Galen Erso and how he ended up in that situation in the first place, and how it's very, when Star Wars fiction is at its best, it's adding to the story that already exists and making it more rounded out. So I agree. There's a lot of room for some exploration on Disney Plus. Now that I think the Mandalorian has gotten so much positive. I think maybe it's the most positive thing since The Force. Everybody really seemed to love The Force Awakens.
Right.
Most people did.
Right.
I didn't love The Force Awakens.
It was okay. You know what I mean? It was like, again, it was, A New Hope.
Yeah.
Plus,
I was like, well, it looks like Star Wars, and it's got the pew pews, but it doesn't have. There's not the core. It doesn't have.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same emotional core. There's not. I like to say that it's characters looking for something to do. They don't really have anything to do in that movie. Anyway, all that. I mean, they have to go to Starkiller Base, but anyway, what we're trying to say is that there is a lot of room for exploration through other things, like maybe that Obi-Wan series. People talk about the Obi-Wan series like it's a done deal. I don't even think they've signed any paperwork for that, right?
They announced it.
Did they?
It's official. It's
officially announced. Ewan McGregor is signed for doing that. Okay.
He's been signed. They had to sit on it because they didn't want to ruin it. He's been signed. The showrunner and director. They're shooting the beginning of next year.
Okay.
So the director for episode 3, she's the showrunner for it. They loved her so much. Deborah, gosh, I can't remember her name. Because the last 2 episodes were directed by females. Bryce Dallas Howard directed for Deborah Chow, I think it is. Chow.
I'm looking real quick.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Mandalorian episode 3, chapter 3?
Yep.
Okay.
And she's doing is she doing the next episode? She's doing another episode. I think she did 2 for the series. Dave
Filoni's doing episode 5, I believe. He wrote it and directed it.
Oh yeah, that's right. So he's doing 5. The guy that directed episode 2 was directed episode 6. Then it's Deborah again. Deborah
Chow, you're right.
Yeah, Deborah Chow. She's doing 7, and I think they all did 2 episodes apiece. I think it's no. Dallas Bryce Howard. No, the last episode is Taika. Taika's directing the episode.
Oh, 8. I love Taika Waititi.
Yeah, he's doing episode 8.
I know he's divisive, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it home. Marvel shows. What? I'll tell you my cue. I've been watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Now, I grew up with it was like childhood. Exactly. It was my childhood, and I watch it now, and it's not good, but it's in fact it's bad. But
it's all we had. It was all we had.
That's exactly. I'm sure there's nostalgia as a factor in there, but it's kind of interesting to see these simpler. It's not a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, but it does have that old school Hanna-Barbera, like Super Friends. Like if you go back and watch Super Friends with a critical eye, it's terrible. Yeah. But if you watch it as a child, like if you put yourself in a childlike, if you put yourself in a trance and you revert yourself back to 3, 4, 5 years old, no. But I don't know, when I watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, just like, yeah, I remember this. I remember these storylines, and there's like the fire monster thing, and then there's the Green Goblin. Anyway, it's been really cool because those episodes were they were gone. You could not find them anywhere. They never came to. I don't think they ever came to DVD. There were bootlegs, but
they had like one, because me and you talked about it before, and I actually researched it, and it was like maybe on DVD or something. It was one. I don't even think it was the complete Spider-Man and Amazing Friends. And then you could actually buy it on YouTube. YouTube Video actually had the seasons. Yeah, it was, but it's like, even for me watching Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, the first few episodes when I got back into it was like, whoa, it's jarring. Like the animation style, the voices, everything like threw me off. And I always lauded it because I've talked about it numerous times on the podcast, that cartoon, how good it was and how comic booky it was. It brought in so many different elements. And once I got maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, it just melted away, and it was what I remembered it as. It was an adjustment because you look at cartoons now, and I watch so much of like the DC straight to video animated movies, and that storytelling is and the animation style is so much different. It took a while to get back into that style, but once you get back into just the great storytelling they were doing and the great arcs, and all the cool stuff they incorporated that later showed up in movies, Captain Marvel, like all that stuff they were touching on.
It was great.
Yeah, it was such a good cartoon that I was
Like
so upset when they canceled it.
yeah.
But I never watched and maybe I will now because it's on there. I never watched the newer
Avengers
Disney.
Assemble.
Yeah, I never watched any of that at all.
I didn't either.
I watched some of the Spider-Man stuff that they did, but I didn't. I just was like, no, I wanted that. I wanted Earth Mightiest Heroes to keep going on, and I was like, I guess I was pouting over my corner, pouting about it. You know, I just never gave it a shot. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like, it was definitely of that time, for sure. So,
It was. It feels super early '80s, and they invented, because I don't think Firestar existed before that cartoon. I think they invented her for the show, and now she's in the comp. Yeah,
they brought her over because she had a miniseries like in the mid '80s, introducing her into the comics, and they tied her to the X-Men with Iceman. Yeah, but she had like a 4 or 5 issue miniseries, like 84, 85.
Yep.
You know?
But having said all that, I do love Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and when I watch it, usually late at night, it's kind of like a time machine taking me back to that more innocent time. I got my queue pulled up here. I took some screenshots of my queue just so I could talk about what I've got. Oh, they've got the Hulk series on there from the 90s. They've got the Iron Man series from the 90s. Spider-Woman. I did not even know that there was a Spider-Woman cartoon.
Me either, yeah.
X-Men Evolution. Now, X-Men, of course, I'm representing X-Men today, but do you remember the X-Men Evolution cartoon? Like that was really cool stuff back in the day. I haven't watched it since then.
I don't know which one it was because they did one after Evolution, which was
Wolverine and the
X-Men. I think I'm trying to remember which one I watched to completion. One was on Netflix, and I binged the whole series, and it was really good. I can't remember if it was Evolution. I think it was Wolverine and the X-Men that I watched, and it was really good. I watched it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was on Netflix, and I just
probably Wolverine.
Binged it. Yeah, I binged it and really enjoyed it, and was really surprised where they kind of took it. Some of the X-Men stuff they touched on there, but I used to love Evolution, but I didn't finish watching it. So my queue was similar, like all the animation stuff, because that was so hard to find for a while, that now to have it all in one place, like stuff I want to Runaways I have in my queue, want to check that out. Like I said, some of the 80s Disney movies. But there's a lot of Marvel cartoon and Marvel shows that were other places, because I didn't have Hulu, so or Freeform to see. I know Cloak and Dagger is coming to an end, so I'm assuming once it ends, it'll eventually show up there. So then I can watch that. All the old Runaway stuff is on there. I know the final season is going to come on Hulu because I don't have Hulu. So once that's finished, and it gives me a chance to finally watch those shows, because I heard relatively positive things about them all. So that's the reason why I have those, the reason that pushed me to get something like Disney Plus, because they have it all hubbed in one nice, neat area for you to go through your childhood to even current stuff and just consume it and enjoy it. It's like, I can't complain about that at all. I think that's one thing they got right, is that, how they have it organized is another thing, but just the how it's just there. I love that.
Yeah. Do you want to go outside and see if that lawn repair or that lawn maintenance guy has any thoughts on Disney Plus? If he wants to come in and weigh in?
I know.
Like, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. We're recording about some Disney Plus. What? You got any thoughts?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're on the recording. If you just want to throw in some thoughts.
Yeah, it's like, do you mind? I got a microphone. Here you go. You got something?
Invariably, anytime you hit record, someone's going to fire up a blower or a edger or a trimmer somewhere. We did a commentary for Patreon for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving, and as soon as we hit record, it was like, it was like, shoot.
And they will do it at any time, because literally, like at midnight, some nights they're out doing the lawn, like in my apartment complex. So it'll just be like, it's like, wow, just like, seriously, that's awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I just wanted to say one of the things. Hidden gems for me, things that I was really excited to discover, is there were a lot of cartoons that came out as like not sequels, but okay, so like Hercules was a successful movie, so there's a Hercules TV series or a Hercules animated series. Lilo and Stitch had an animated series. What else? The Emperor's New, what was it called? The Emperor's New School. That was the TV series for the Emperor's New Groove. The Little Mermaid TV series. Like, all these movies had like 65 episode or more animated series, and once they left syndication, or like I think they came on the Disney Channel back in the day. Maybe I think something maybe came on Saturday morning on ABC as well, and then they just disappeared completely. They never got some of the Lilo and Stitch series got released on DVD, but it was just a few episodes. Whole series of those are there. The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, dude. In the late 80s, early 90s, Saturday morning, I used to love The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
I used to love ABC. That Gummy Bears,
yes,
all that whole block. Yeah, all that whole block that they had on ABC back in the day, Saturday mornings. Yes, I'm with you 100%. I used to love it. It was like, like I said, it's so nostalgic to my childhood because I loved Winnie the Pooh. You know what I mean? So I love that cartoon. Yeah.
And like, as you get older, the thing that I will always defend Winnie the Pooh, because as you get older, you realize, like, oh, it's layered, and it's about childhood, and it's about innocence, and like, I'm gonna cry if I keep talking about it. Anyway, that's on there. I haven't watched any of them, so I don't know if they hold up. They probably maybe don't. I don't know. It might be a Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends situation where it's like, watch it late at night. Doug from Nicktoons from Nickelodeon back in the day, the Doug cartoon is on the service. What else did I want to shout out that I was really excited about? All the National Geographic stuff. You played around with any of the Nat Geo stuff on there?
No, not yet. But I love that. I love those kind of things. So that's another thing too. It's overwhelming because there's so much good stuff that you previously, like, if you didn't have those individual channels or if you didn't own that content outright, now you could just any day of the week you could just scroll, click and get lost. I love that aspect of getting lost. And I think for me too, like, I just get in the zone sometimes, and I just love that I can cut on Disney Plus and I can find something fun, entertaining, and refreshing to watch. Like Netflix is like I pick and choose my spots. Because I don't watch I don't watch any live TV except for if it's sports. And I don't even watch. My wife watches more sports than I do. She's more of a sports fan than I am. I'm always like either reading or or creating content. So it's cool that when I do want to kick back and relax, that I can always cut on Disney Plus and find something worthwhile to watch. I do love that aspect of the service. I think that's where the real niche is that it's just good, clean, fun entertainment, and it's so much of it. And they just keep every week. They just keep adding more stuff. Like like Thanksgiving. Here's the Home Alone movies. Hey, happy Thanksgiving! Boop,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
You need to subscribe. Shout out to them. What's on Disney Plus on YouTube, man? Like, every time they update any day of the week, they update content. They have a video. This is what they announced that came out today. And I subscribe to this regular Disney YouTube channel. They'll say what came out this week. So like the first of the month. So they're like Netflix in that they have one big dump on the first of the month. So they had a big video. They did a little 3-minute video like, here's all the new stuff. And then I think every Friday when new episodes drop, they drop more stuff. So like when Thanksgiving came, they're like, happy Thanksgiving, Home Alone movies. They dropped all of. They dropped. Is it more Home Alone? They dropped the 3. Did they make more than 3?
I think there's a 4th one, but I'm not sure. I've only watched the first 2.
Because they're dropping a lot of. I just was looking on iTunes this morning, and they had a Home Alone 5 movie bundle, and I was like, I only thought it was 3.
Okay, then there's 5.
But they dropped the first 3 anyway for right after Thanksgiving. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, so they constantly are dropping more content. I was like, dang, much content do they have? But not a lot of Fox stuff is on there yet too, that they're probably because so much stuff is a lot of stuff is 4K and being remastered, so probably because they just acquired all that stuff, they're probably running it through, so the library is only gonna get larger, and they haven't released all their stuff. People forget that Disney's been around since 30s, 40s.
Oh, the 20s. I mean, it started in the teens, but Disney, as we recognize it today, is in the 20s.
20, yeah, okay. So that's a long time. That's a lot of content, and we're always a content maker. People only think about the parks, but it's like they have a lot of back catalog. content. Now I don't know if this is up here, but I want to watch it. The old Daniel Boone and his ox. I wonder is that on there?
Daniel Boone and his ox.
I just saw it. Paul Bunyan.
Okay, I was thinking this is two different things.
Yeah. My bad. Yeah. But I used to love that. I used to love that when they used to do the Sunday Showcase. I'm older than you, so I don't know if you were around then. When they used to do on ABC,
are you older than me?
How old are you?
40.
I'm 44.
Okay, well,
okay. A little bit. No, it's not too bad. But yeah, you remember it used to be on ABC, maybe late 70s, early 80s, where it was like the Sunday Showcase.
Well, and I don't remember the late 70s. Yeah. I was around, but not for long. But yeah.
Yeah, but they used to do like a Sunday Showcase, and I think it was even in the early 80s too.
See, what I remember was the Wonderful World of Disney in the 80s.
Excuse me, wonderful. Yeah,
it's the same. Yeah, maybe it's just the same thing with a different name.
Same thing. Yeah, and they used to do that, and I used to see those snippets too. And then my cousin actually had a whole a Disney encyclopedia set that was just like all the historical, just all the stuff they did. And I used to love seeing him in that. And I just always loved that. And I just saw, because I was watching a bunch of Disney YouTube stuff, and it came up. Someone ripped it and put it on YouTube, and I'm like, I wonder is that on Disney Plus? Because I would like to watch, check that out again. Childhood stuff, just little childhood stuff like that. That they have that some of it hasn't made it on there yet. Uh-huh. So with them having infinite content like that, just keep adding on, only makes it more and more of a value, as a service. So I think it's worth, if you're a Disney fan on any level, I think it's worth the $6.99. You know what I mean? Like that's not a bad deal for that amount of content and 4K content, because on Netflix, if you want 4K streaming, you pay a premium for that. You pay way more than $6.99. You pay almost double that to get a 4K stream. So that's cool that you have that option. It's just a part of the service. It's not an extra premium, not yet. But like we said, maybe after these years, because they did have an asterisk when I signed up for that deal that you'll get rebilled at $6.99 a month if still applicable, whatever. So
I don't think anybody thinks that it's staying at $6.99.
Not for, and you think about in 2-3 years how big the library will be. All these other shows, all
the Marvel Netflix shows will eventually be on Disney Plus.
So it's like all that stuff is going to be rolling out, adding to the library. So it's like, but as long as it stayed. But Bob Iger did a really interesting. It was when they announced the sales call, when they were announcing it first, showing the interface. And I think it was like maybe CNBC or someone did an interview with him. And he doesn't want to outprice it. It might go up, but he was like, he'll take that L on it, because he's like, not everyone can afford to go to the parks, because could be such an expensive proposition. So he wants to keep it as low cost as possible to keep it in people's homes, because they can sell merch. He came out and said it's like, like they can't afford, but they can afford to buy merchandise. They can afford to have the service and connect to these properties that otherwise we couldn't get out to them. He was like, I can make billions if I keep licensing out the content, but he's like, in the end, this will make us more money unless it just flops. And he was like, I think he said he would give it like 5 or 6 years before he would really even consider like pulling a plug and relicensing out the content. He said, I know I'll make the money back easy, so it's not really a risk because our library is so vast. He's like, when I get on licensing, he's like, but he was like, I'm taking a risk. I'm going to go all in on this, and I want Disney in every home, because everyone can't do the amusement park. He's like, I understand it. So he's like, I got to keep this as low cost.
Can't do the amusement park because they have raised the prices so ridiculously in the last 2 to 3 years that people that were going once a year, twice a year, can't afford to go anymore because they have priced it out. I mean, it's gone up like 40% in the course of like 3 years. It is insane. We're going to have a conversation about Bob Iger at some point. I don't necessarily... Listen, he's a very smart businessman. He's very smart with these acquisitions. There's more to a brand than acquiring and selling. You have to be gatekeepers, not gatekeepers. You have to be, you have to keep the legacy alive as well. And maybe that's what's happening with Disney. But I don't want to end this on negativity. That bothered me. Everything you just said, that's true, but that's that hand reaching in my back pocket.
Right, exactly. I mean, I see it from the perspective of keep something low cost because you keep raising everything, and how like I said, we're not going to, because it's a whole other conversation how they bully movie theaters and how they run their movies, and if you don't run Aladdin, Aladdin was going to be a $1 billion movie because they forced them to do it to get the next movie that everybody really wanted. So it's like, play Aladdin or you won't get Lion King. How about that?
Hey pal, play Aladdin or it's going to be real bad for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's tricky.
Yeah, it's complicated.
So it's very complicated, but I'm glad it's cheap right now, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
it's a loss leader. That's probably how they're looking at it. It's a loss leader.
With all the bundles too. Like he said, he even said then before the bundles were announced that he was going to do that. It only made sense to bring all their other companies into it, and eventually what he wants is one login to rule them all. That you get all their Disney content just under one kind of umbrella. So that's what his ultimate goal is. It's like, hey,
it is domination.
One ring to rule them all, sir. Yeah. So
and in the darkness, sell them plushies.
Exactly. That's where it is. So I think all in all, putting a button in it is that I feel like it's a very good service. I think it's a very good service, and I'm only positive on the future based on the first original that I really watched with the Star Wars. It makes me optimistic about where they're going with the Marvel shows. I know, like I said, Obi-Wan shoots early next year to be released, maybe end of next year, I think, or maybe they said it was going to be debuting in 2021, maybe, but they're going to start shooting early, next year. We already know Mandalorian season 2. They've been filming it since they premiered the first 3 episodes for press before it came out. So they're well into filming that season. So we know we have that. We know that Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier is filming. They start filming maybe a week or two ago because they took over Disney's Instagram, and I followed them, and they took over, and that was their first day of shooting. So it was about a couple of weeks ago now. So we know that's underway, and then the other shows are going to follow because it's how they fall in succession with the movies. So all of those shows are, lining up production. So probably after that finishes, WandaVision, I think will be the next one that's probably going to go in production, and so on and so forth with the shows. So yeah, I'm optimistic about it based on what we got from The Mandalorian and what I'm hearing about the other original shows, because there's so much stuff that I'm not into, like High School Musical. My wife's enjoying that, things like that. You said you've been enjoying the Jeff Goldblum show, which I need to check out. Yeah,
he's leaned into his brand so much. I don't think he's nearly as weird as he maybe portrays himself to be, but he's had this resurgence lately.
And he's riding that way.
All the way to the. Oh, if you, oh my gosh, if you want me to be weird, well, I can do that, and I'll take that. I'll take it to the bank. That's what he does. Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's a really interesting perspective on just kind of like Americana. First episode is about sneakers. The second episode is about ice cream. Third one is about tattoos, and the fourth one, I don't remember. We just watched it, and I can't remember. Anyway, it's just kind of like
jeans. Was it jeans?
Yeah, jeans.
Yeah, because I just saw a little clip somewhere. Yeah, on denim. Yeah. Because, man, they rule. I'm going to tell you another thing they do brilliantly is marketing. They're all over Instagram. Whenever I go on Instagram, I get ads for Disney Plus, and how they do it is not intrusive, and it's not even annoying. But it's just like, oh, that's the new episode? And they show a little thing like, oh, I got to watch. It's about denim? Denim? Really? Oh, I might watch that. I need to check that out this week. You know what I mean? It's like, it lures you back in,
Yeah. All right, you have Frozen, so I'm going to give this a second to work itself out, and then we got to... Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Let's wind it down. Okay. We tried to stop it twice, and we're like, oh, and then this.
Yeah.
Where can... So we both recommend the service, right? We're both
right.
Yeah, I'm skeptical still. I'm not skeptical. I'm happy to have my physical media collection that's not tied to a subscription. But for the supplementary stuff, the originals, the shows that I can't get anywhere else, it's a fantastic service, and the price couldn't be better.
Exactly. I'm totally with you on that. And, like me, like you have the physical. For me, I have digital, but backed up. I just bought a 10 terabyte hard drive for my movie collection. So everything I buy on iTunes is backed up on hard drive. Yeah, so and every couple of years I get a new hard drive, everything gets transferred over and good to go. Yeah, I'm all about that backup life, for sure. But yeah, you guys can find me as always. You can find me at comicbooksavant.com, which is a website. You can find the YouTube channel, youtube.com/comicbooksavant. I'll be here as well. And thank you all for your support. You guys have been great in the time we've been doing this. You've helped my channel grow. You've came over, I do comic book related content, hence the name Comic Book Savant. But then I come over here and I can talk about some of my other, when it comes to everything else. Film, I'm a big film fan as well. So that's where me and Heath connect here, do these type of videos for you guys. So thank you for all your support, and that's where you can find me.
Yeah, and if you want to hear me talk about comic books, you can head over to comicbooksavant.com and type in Spinner Rack Bros, which doesn't really apply to what we're doing here, but there's no spinner racks, but life would be better if there were more spinner racks. Spinner racks in the grocery store, spinner racks at the gas station. But we talk about comics. I don't know, we've done about 10 at this point. We've done a lot. Multiple collaborations.
Yeah.
So those are all there in podcast form. And weigh in the comments below. This is a long one, but we would love to hear what you think about Disney Plus, about the added changes to the Star Wars trilogy, that new Greedo scene, about the Mandalorian, about these original stuff, the Jeff Goldblum. What about Jeff Goldblum? Let's just continue the conversation talking about Disney Plus. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you so very much. Do head over to Comic Book Savant, check out James's content, subscribe to him on YouTube, subscribe to his podcast. And thank you very much, guys. Take care. Until next time, we will catch you. Here it comes. Fingers up. Later. Do it. Cesaro. There we go.